Our guest today on Meet the Press is His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, Emperor of Ethiopia. The Emperor is a direct descendant of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, and he rules over the oldest Christian nation in the world. During his reign of more than 30 years, he has been a strong advocate of collective security. His troops served with the United Nations in Korea and the Congo, and he has been in the forefront of the movement for African unity. The Emperor played a leading role in the recent Conference of Independent African States. The Emperor will speak in Amharic, which will be interpreted for us by Dr. Manasseh Haile. And I will have the first question from Clifton Daniels of the New York Times.
Your Imperial Majesty, last spring, you were the host in Addis Ababa to the conference that formed an Organization of African States. That conference took a very strong stand against the remnants, I would say, of colonialism in Africa. Then on Friday, in your address to the General Assembly of the United Nations, you said we Africans will fight if necessary. Does that mean that you think the United African States could use force to liberate the areas still under non-African control in Africa?
ግርማዊ ጃንሆይ ባለፉት ጥቂት ወራቶች ውስጥ የአፍሪካ ዋኖች መሪዎች በአዲስ አበባ ተሰብስበው ግርማዊነቶም ጋባዦች ነበሩ። ይሄ የአፍሪካ መንግስታት ስብሰባ ስለ ኮሎኒያሊዝም ጉዳይ ጠንካራ ሀሳብ አቅርቧል። ግርማዊነቱ ደግሞ ያለፈው ዓርብ ዕለት ከሰዓት በኋላ ከተባበሩት መንግስታት ማህበር ጠቅላላ ጉባኤ ባቀረቡት ንግግር ውስጥ አስፈላጊ ከሆነ አፍሪካ ነፃነት ማውጣት ምናልባት በኃይል ጎዳና እንከተል ይሆናል ብሎ ተናግረዋል። አሁን አፍሪካን በእውነት ሁሉ ነፃ ለማድረግ ግርማዊነቱ በኃይል አስፈላጊ ነው ብለው ያምናሉ ወይ?
እንደምታውቁት ሰላም ዓለም ሁሉ የሚጠብቅበት ጉዳይ ነው። ይህ ሰላም እንዲጠፋ ይልቁንም ትንሽ መንግስቶች ከኛ ጀምሮ አይፈልጉም። የአፍሪካን አንድነት ግን በመልካም ተመስርቷል። ለዚህም ምሳሌ የምንወስደው ስለ አፍሪካ አንድነት የአሜሪካን ህዝብ ምሳሌ ነው። በዚህ አኳኋን አፍሪካን ነፃ ለቅ ያሉት መንግስቶች ለመዋጋት ሁለት አይነት መንገድ አለ። ምናልባት በሰላም ይፈጸማል፣ ግን መመከት ደግሞ እንዳለበት ታውቁታላችሁና የመዋጋት ትርጓሜው ሁለት ነው።
In answer to that question, I would say that, as you know, peace has been the objective of the entire mankind, and I may say particularly so of small countries today. We have, and we are confident that we have laid down the foundation of African unity at the recent conference that was held in May in our capital, Addis Ababa. Now, for the purpose of bringing African unity, our United States represents a good example for us. Now, for this question of liberation of African countries by use of force is our fervent desire and wish that situations will not come to this desperate state. But however, as I stated yesterday, if there is no recourse for liberation of people under the yoke of imperialism, certainly that may be an alternative which the African states would have to consider for the benefit of the continent of Africa.
In the meantime, sir, are the African states providing arms and other assistance to those forces that are fighting against existing regimes in Africa?
ግርማዊ ጃንሆይ ይሄ ከመሆኑ በፊት ግን ለነፃነታቸው በአፍሪካ ውስጥ በልዩ ልዩ ቦታ ለሚታገሉ ሰዎች የአፍሪካ ሀገሮች የጦር መሳሪያና ሌላውን መከላከያ ነገር ያቀብሏቸዋል ወይ?
መጨረሻውን ሰላም ከተፈለገ የጦር መሳሪያ ሀብት ወደ ሰላም እንዲዞር ዋና ምኞታችን ነው። ምናልባት ይህንን የሚደረግ እንደሆነ እኛ የሚያቀብሉት ሰዎች የሚሰጡት ሀሳብ ከነሱ ሊጠየቅ የሚገባ ነው። መቀበል ግን ማንም የሚጠላው
I would like to say that all on the general question, I hope that all material, energy and resources that are wasted for the purposes of arms race would cease to be so and would be converted for the purpose of peaceful advancement of mankind. But insofar as passing on arms to freedom fighters throughout Africa, perhaps the best first people to ask are those that have been considered to have passed such arms. But insofar as the recipients, freedom country, freedom-loving, freedom fighters are concerned, we understand their motive and it's legitimate.
Sir, as a great supporter of the United Nations, would you think that the United Nations might intervene in Africa and resolve this problem?
ማረጃን ሆይ የተባበሩት መንግስታት ማህበርን ዋናው ደጋፊዎች ከሆኑ ታላላቅ ሰዎች ግርማዊነቱ አንዱ ናቸው። ለአፍሪካ ፕሮብሌም እንደና ዘዴ ለማምጣት የተባበሩት መንግስታት ማህበር በጉዳዩ በሙሉ የሚገባ ይመስላል ወይ? የተባበሩት መንግስታት በጉዳዩ እንዲገባ በግድ ያስፈልጋል። የሚገባበት ምክንያት የተባበሩት መንግስት ሰላም እንዲጸና መሰረቱ እንደሆነ የተለያየ ሀሳብ ቢኖርበት መጨረሻውን ዩናይትድ ኔሽን የሚገባበት ነገር ነው ብለን እናስባለን። Yes, I believe it's imperative that the United Nations come into the picture for solving this important African problem. The reason being that the United Nations, by its own charter, is committed to the preservation of international peace and security, and since African situation is directly relevant to this important task of the United Nations, the United Nations must come in to solve it. There might be difference of opinion in the organization itself, but the resultant effect of the feeling of the United Nations is no doubt in my mind is to help African countries to achieve their independence, and also my desire and hope is in accordance to the statements I've just made.
We'll be back with Meet the Press and more questions for our guest, his interview. Our guest today is His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, Emperor of Ethiopia. You've just met Clifton Daniel of the New York Times. Our other reporters are Norman Cousins of the Saturday Review, Milt Freudenheim of the Chicago Daily News, and Pauline Frederick of NBC News. Ned Brooks will be back with us next week. We'll continue the questions now with Mr. Cousins.
Your Majesty, generally, when heads of state take on other jobs in government, they take on a portfolios, let us say, of the foreign minister or the minister of defense. But the one big job you have taken on, in addition to your regular job, is the job of Chancellor of University. Would you tell us why you have taken on this particular assignment?
ብዙ ጊዜ የመንግስታት ዋናዎች መሪዎች እንደ ጃንሆይ ያሉ በመንግስት አስተዳደር ውስጥ የቀጥታ ኃላፊነት የፈለጉ እንደሆነ የውጭ ጉዳይ ሚኒስትርነትን ወይም የመከላከያ ሚኒስትርነትን ይወስዳሉ። ግርማዊ ጃንሆይ ግን ይህን ሳያደርጉ የዩኒቨርሲቲው ቻንሰለር መሆንን መረጡ። በምን ምክንያት ነው ይህንን ያደረጉት?
ዋናው ምክንያት ግልጽ ነው። ለሀገራችን ትምህርት በጣም ጠቃሚ ነው። በሀገራችን ትምህርት ቢኖር ተቋርጦ የነበረውን እንደገና ማደስ አስፈላጊ ስለሆነ ከጠላት ወረራ በኋላ እንደተመለስን የትምህርት ሚኒስቴር ወሰዱ። ስለዚህ አሁንም ደግሞ በዚያው በመሰረት ነው ለመቀጠል የዩኒቨርሲቲ ቻንሰለር መሆንን መረጥን። ይህም ዞሮ ዞሮ ለኢትዮጵያ ለሀገራችን የትምህርትን ጠቃሚነት አስፈላጊነቱን ስለተረዳ
In answer to that question, I would say that the main reasons why I took this action is actually quite obvious. Education is the most useful thing to our country and indeed to all mankind. During the war, the educational process of Ethiopia was discontinued, but subsequently after the war, we took off where we started from, and we had to quicken our pace in order to compensate for lost time of enemy occupation. As soon as our liberty was restored to us, I actually took the portfolio of Minister of Education. Now, I am happy to say I have become the Chancellor of the university. Education being a useful thing for our country, I see no greater thing to which I dedicate myself, and I also say with happiness that it is along this skill that I lay down what I consider to be one of my successful records.
በጦር አለቅነታችን ብቻና በትምህርት ሚኒስቴር ለመስራት ያስገደደን ይልቁንም በጠላት ጊዜ የተማሩ ልጆቻችን ብዙ ጠፍተውብን ነበርና ለመተካት
Foreign affairs, particularly nowadays, is a very important thing, the development of countries and for peace and stability. But despite this, we chose to take the portfolio after the war and our liberation of Defense and Ministry of Education. The reason really we have done so is because we lost so many fine young men, people that served their country during the war, and we had to take this measure to quicken the pace of education so that Ethiopia again will be put right on the correct road.
Majesty, do you believe that aid in education from the United States or from the United Nations would be useful to your country and perhaps to Africa in general in its general development?
ግርማዊ ጃንሆይ ለትምህርት ጉዳይ ከተባበሩት መንግስታት ማህበር ሆነ ወይም ከአሜሪካ መንግስት እርዳታ ለትምህርት ማግኘት ለኢትዮጵያና ደግሞም ለሌሎች አፍሪካ ሀገሮች ጠቃሚ መስሎ ይታያል ወይ?
ከአሁንም በፊት የአሜሪካን መንግስት ረድቶናል ለትምህርት ጉዳይ ግን በቂ ነው ለማለት አይቻልም። መጨመሪያ ያስፈልጋል። አሜሪካን መንግስት በቀርም ከሌሎች መንግስቶች ሁሉ በየአይነቱ ስለ ትምህርት ነገር እርዳታ ሊሰጣል። ይህም በቂ ሊሆን አይችልምና ወደፊት በቂ ሲሆን ድረስ እርዳታ ያስፈልጋል።
The government of the United States of America has been quite generous to us in matter of education, and they have given us help of which we are very appreciative, but we cannot say here that the aid we have gotten from these sources, the United States, United Nations, and other international organizations are actually sufficient. The task of education is immense one, is a matter that takes a great deal of financing to solve. We hope that Ethiopia, as well as other undeveloped countries, will continue to get the assistance of the developed countries.
Mr. Freudenheim.
Your Majesty, at the United Nations, you expressed dismay at the treatment of American Negroes in some parts of our country. At the same time, you praised President Kennedy's civil rights program and actions. Do you feel, sir, that African leaders and African peoples are being turned against the USA by the news they read of our racial troubles?
ለተባበሩት መንግስታት ማህበር ለጠቅላላው ጉባኤ ባሰሙት ንግግር በአሜሪካ ሀገር የዘር ልዩነትና ድሎት በመኖሩ ግርማዊነቱ ቅር እንዳለው ታስረድተዋል። ከዚሁ ጋር ደግሞ አያይዘው የፕሬዝዳንት ኬኔዲና አሁኑ የአሜሪካ አስተዳዳሪዎች ይህንን ፕሮብሌም ከአሜሪካ ፊት ለማስወገድ በወሰዱት እርምጃ መደሰቱንም ገልጸዋል። ይህንን እንግዲህ ስንል በአፍሪካ በአሜሪካ ሀገር የዘር ልዩነትና ድሎት በመኖሩ ምክንያት የአሜሪካ መንግስትና ህዝብ በአፍሪካኖች አይን የተሳታና የሚሳታ ይመስላል።
ይህ ጉዳይ በጣም ትልቅ ነገር መሆኑ ስለተሰማን ፕሬዝዳንት ኬኔዲ ስለዚህ ለአፍሪካ በአሜሪካ ስለሚኖሩ ያደረጉትን ንግግራችን ገልጸናል። አሁንም ይህ ነገር እንደ ኢንተርናሽናል ጉዳይ የሚታይ ነገር ስለሆነ ኢንተርናሽናል ጭምር ያስብበታል ብለን ተስፋ አለን። የሰው ዘር ለመለየት ከህግ የወጣ ነገር መሆኑን ራሳችሁም የምታውቁት ነውና እዚህ የማይስማማበት ሰው ይገኛል ማለት ነው።